What's up everyone, Boylon here, and today we are going to talk about who I think are the top 5 characters desperately needing a. And to preface this list, I won't be including Cable or Deadpool, who are having a rework after the patch tomorrow. I also won't be including any minions, as we all know they're pretty trash, except maybe Hand Sentry, and at some point I expect them to get a rework too. There are probably quite a few that deserve to be on here somewhere, but these are the top 5 characters that I think deserve a rework for one reason or another, and are a bit disappointing right now, and even weren't really the most amazing characters in the past. So starting out at number 5, we have Storm. So this might be a controversial pick here, but I think Storm is starting to fall between the cracks a bit. She's not a terrible character, but there's definitely parts that bother me about her kit. In particular, the special and passive. But for those unfamiliar with Storm, we'll go through quickly her kit generally. And so her basic isn't bad. It's some damage with some extra adjacent damage if she's charged, and can get anywhere from 15 to 20 charges per basic depending on if you have T4s or not. And now this charge system is what is used for her special and ultimate. Personally, I think having both her special and her ultimate tied to the charge mechanic is where she falls down a little bit. I wish her special here didn't remove the charges she has built up, and maybe the skill would get reworked to compensate for this. I think it should be maybe a flat 1 to 2 turns of slow, and maybe a 25% chance to stun all targets. What is nice about this though is it can't be dodged, and it gets a little bit of extra focus as well. But really where she shines the most is her ultimate. Has a very long cooldown, but is largely designed to use in places like raids, where you can build up 15 to 20 charges and just let it loose on a very difficult wave. This was pretty common to do back in the day, in the harder days of Ultimate 6 and 7. The damage with 20 charges was just pretty crazy with a built-up Storm. I think this is fine as it is, but not being able to even use her special makes her having to use her basic all the time while building this up, and doesn't make her all that good in the meantime. Finally, her passive, it's like a weird combination of Miss Marvel's passive for hero brawlers and a speed up buff. Personally, I think the plus 10% chance increase on the T4s is a little bit low. I wish this was closer to maybe 75% or something, or at least on the assist now it'd be more generous, possibly up to 100%, and this would be a ton better. I do like that it's usable with X-Force as well as X-Men, and I kind of wonder how if Storm will get any extra use with X-Force being released just around the corner, and maybe as even as a filler member until the full team is out. So we'll have to keep an eye out on her and some more and see if this changes it. Overall, she's not a terrible character, but I think with the release of Cyclops, I feel that she got left out more these days, and I still like to run Psylocke in the team, so currently Storm is sitting on the bench for me. And number 4 is Wasp. Really, this was a toss-up between her and Ant-Man, but I think she is in a bit worse shape due to being in bad need of tag synergy. As part of her kit, I think she's too reliant on the charge mechanic by dodging for any major use for her special. Dish the charge requirement, and this is similar to Cable, who I hope loses this as well, which would make it better for both of them. Her basic is okay, but I think the chain percentage is just really low. Dish this, so many newer characters have about a 100% chance to chain or higher. Maybe this wouldn't matter so much after that. Her special, as I said, shouldn't be reliant on some crappy charge mechanic to trigger. The charge should do a lot more, maybe if they're going to keep it around, than it does. And maybe a chance to stun everyone might be nice, and not just a single target. The damage itself isn't that bad, if the T4 maybe would guarantee 2 extra attacks on top of more damage, rather than just what it does here. I actually kind of like Wasp's ultimate. I like that it hits through stealth, but I feel it lacks something else. The flat damage just isn't enough with characters these days, so it would need some sort of debuff, I think. I mean, she has the Wasp. She's small and annoying, so maybe applying a defense down or an offense down for even 1 turn, I think would go a long way here. Like the special, I think the passive is part of her problem. The dodge chance is great, but the charge is too reliant on her having to dodge to get it. Or remove the charge mechanic altogether and jack up the dodge rate to like maybe 50%, and maybe we can put up with her kit being on the weaker side. She does get evade when she's paired up with Ant-Man, and that allows her to dodge and thus get the charge, but I really think it's a stupid mechanic that should be done away with. WASP is another one of these characters with no tag, and they suffer from lack of overall synergy. If anyone has any idea for her as to what might improve her or what tags she should have, then leave a comment down below. The most obvious one would be Avengers, but she isn't the original Avengers version of the WASP, so I'm not really sure what they could add here. And coming in at number 3 is Nebula. I'm sure people saw this one coming. At first glance, her kit actually isn't the worst in the world, but I think where she falls flat is her damage percentages on her kit. Pretty low, so the damage she does do isn't all that impactful. I do actually like her basic, the fact that it gives speed up, but I wish that maybe this was 2 turns, or maybe it debuffed something on the enemy. Just something extra than what it does right now might go a long way. I think her special, though, is where things start to get a bit messy, and her damage percent is really low on this for a 4 ability energy move. It's 170% at level 6, which is 110% lower than her basic. The counter also isn't the most impactful either, but what is nice about Nebula having counter is that when she hits back, she gets speed up from her basic. So usually she almost always has speed up due to this. Not only does the damage for this skill, I think, need to go up, but they really need to add something else as part of it. Maybe 1 turn of Disrupt or something. Anything really, and with the damage numbers would make this a lot better. Her ultimate also isn't terrible either. I really like the fact that she gets 2 evades from this move, and it's on a 3 ability cooldown, which is incredibly low for an ultimate move. Where it is a bit of a problem, though, is that it's only a 60% chance to chain. And maybe make this a guaranteed at 100% and we're in business. And the T4 could maybe add some extra targets to chain to on top of the damage. If you've ever fought her in the past, or even now occasionally, you might know how annoying it is to have to get through her evades, especially in a one-on-one situation. She should be able to beat a lot of characters in a duel, but because her skills are so weak, she usually can't. Nebula's passive is also pretty terrible. The revive chance itself isn't as terrible as some, at 15% for level 4, which the AI seems to make use of way better than anyone else. The assist chance is pitiful, though, at 10% at T4, and either this passive needs a complete change or the numbers need to be boosted up, and the assist chance may be as close to 100% as it can possibly get. Nebula also suffers from having no team synergy, but I'm not really sure what you could do about this. She isn't really Black Order, despite her relationship with Thanos, and she's not really an Avenger, despite her being a main part of the endgame. My only hope is that maybe they make some sort of villain team in the same vein as Ms. Marvel. Maybe she could slot in there somehow. I think they'd need some sort of general team for her to fit into, as I don't see them backtracking and giving her a team tag at this point. And getting close to the top here, we have Night Nurse at number 2. Now, what can I say about our healer everyone has forgotten about? If you aren't a veteran player of the game, you've probably never even leveled her, but she actually was quite used frequently in the early parts of the game, when Ultimates 5 and 6 were challenging. Next to Shield Medic, she was really the only healer choice in the game at this time with any real use, which sort of explains the power level that I brought her up to. Her kit is just really outdated when you put her side by side with any of the new healers and improved kits of others. Even AIM Researcher is a better healer than her at this point, and the AIM used to be the worst team in the game. Her basic actually isn't terrible, as to comply 2 turns of slow, maybe bump that to 100% chance, and then maybe we'll talk. Her special is on a low cooldown, but given that she's called a nurse, maybe this should be a bit stronger. Maybe heal adjacent targets as well, clear debuffs, something like that. Anything else. It's just super plain at this point. Her ultimate is just lackluster at this point, and with the existence of a lot of heal block characters and raids, I think the regen from this move might not even do that much. An extra mechanic or 2 on this would go a long way to improving her healing viability. Maybe clear the party's debuffs and then add immunity or something on top of that would be really nice, or any additional buffs would help, as it's on a 4 energy cooldown, so it's not that terrible. It just needs a little bit more. And finally, her passive Triage just has far too low of a percent chance to activate. 20% chance or 25 with T4s, I think is really low. It should really be 100% chance to heal characters, or at least 75% chance to heal the full party. She's the only character in the game that was designed specifically with just healing in mind. Not including her passive, both her special and her ultimate is healing based. Most of the other healers only actually have one healing move. I wouldn't mind seeing her usable again, especially to mix it up a bit. She doesn't even need any team tags really, just they need to improve her overall healing ability. And before we get to number 1, I want to share a couple dishonorable mentions for this list that didn't quite make it. Winter Soldier, bit of a missed opportunity for him to get reworked in the Hydra patch, but also that he's sitting with a military tag, which was brought about for war, and never really done much with. I hope this guy sees something in the near future though, because he really needs it. And also Kingpin. He's a great support buffer, that's almost all he is though. His passive Mastermind is all about the assist chance with villains. Bump this up to 100% and maybe we have the makings of a proper villain team. Kind of like Miss Marvel gets the assists for hero brawlers. I wouldn't mind the Spider-Verse tag in the meantime, but that might be asking a bit too much. But anyways, on top, number 1, and this might not come as a surprise at all, but it's going to be, and the gold goes to Nobu. This guy is just utter trash. Maybe even beyond trash. Like, first off, as a leader of the Hand, his kit is super disappointing. His summons actually aren't terrible, because Hand Archer is amazing when it comes to buff clearing, and Hand Blade Master isn't terrible damage either. But comparing it to other summons like Nick Fury, who provides a buff, Ronin, who clears debuffs, and Red Skull, who gives some speed bar, there should really be something else attached to this skill when summoning. But almost every other skill is pure hot garbage. His basic has, I don't even know why it's not a 100% chance to gain stealth. Maybe for 2 turns if you put oranges into it, and bump that assist chance to 100% or close to it, and then maybe we'll talk. His ultimate is just like, I don't even know what they were thinking when they designed the skill. So at level 6, it can be used on like turn 3 or something, and it applies counter to everyone. Like, what the F? Honestly, I don't have any major idea what to put here, but like, it needs anything and everything. Nobu actually only has 1 damage ability on it, which is his basic, so maybe this needs some sort of damage component. Hell, maybe even some Red Skull-esque damage assist attack or something that brings in all of the Hand characters. Buff the team, and call in for some damage. I don't know. Anything. Anything would be better than this. If anything needs the rework the most, it's this skill. In terms of his passive, they could make this more on par with Scientist Supreme. The revive chance is incredibly low, even for Hand characters. At level 5, it's 10% chance and 5% chance for everyone else. Triple this number to, you know, maybe 30% for Hand and 15% for everyone else, and maybe we're in business. Alternatively, I wouldn't mind seeing this scrapped, possibly in favor of some sort of leadership buff for extra HP or damage. Even Ronin gets like a resist HP and damage boost to all Kree minion allies, so slap something like this onto Nobu for Hand minions, and even that would be a lot better. Overall, Nobu is my number 1 pick for most needing a rework, but this will probably come with some eventual Hand rework. What do you guys hope might change on his skills? Considering he's such a trashy character needed for Phoenix right now, it's just so painful to put any resources, and I really regret even taking him up this high. I know opinions are going to vary if you're a newer player, mid-game player, or late veteran one, but who do you guys really wish got a rework, or would get one soon? Did you pull some really nice shiny red stars on a character only to realize that they're hot garbage? I know not everyone's going to be made equal, and not everyone is going to be amazing, but come on here. A few of these characters definitely should get fixed. Thanks everyone for watching today's video, and if you guys enjoyed it, then please hit that like button and comment down below which characters you want to see get changed. But that's all for me for just now, so until next video, stay safe everyone.